And Aaron O'Toole, the leader of the Conservative Party, was asked this morning about his decision to kick Senator Denise Batters out of the Conservative caucus. Batters, you'll recall, launched a petition this week calling for an expedited review of O'Toole's leadership. She says she and others in the party lost faith in him during the federal election campaign. O'Toole says the caucus has to focus on important issues and ousting Batters was necessary.
We've had two very, very good national caucus meetings, some going as long as 6 hours, and we've united on our way forward as a team. People that are now allowing their frustrations and their own personal agendas or issues on the pandemic to interfere with our progress are not part of the team. And so we're focused, and that's why we made the decision last night. You don't want to make that decision, but really she made it for herself.
CBC's Janice McGregor is on this story live from our nation's capital. And Janice, as we mentioned, those remarks came as the Conservative caucus was meeting this morning in Ottawa. What does O'Toole's response that we just heard mean for MPs who may be questioning his leadership?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. The message is get in line. He said it was a very difficult decision to remove Denise Batters from his caucus. But he said with Parliament coming back next week, they need to start showing a more professional approach. And he was doing this for the well-being of his caucus and his party. Now, important to note, if we're talking about MPs, O'Toole does not have the ability to kick an MP out of his caucus the way he kicked this senator out of National Caucus, but he does seem to have a way to keep them disciplined. As our colleague Travis Stanraj was reporting yesterday, they have secured a critical mass of MPs in this caucus who are prepared to use their powers under the Reform Act to sign and then vote in favor of expelling any MP that isn't seen as being in line with the best interests of the team and, by extension, the leader. And so, as MPs entered this caucus meeting today, it was pretty clear, at least for those who were speaking to reporters, that they were in agreement with this and they were prepared to get in line. Take a listen.
I support Mr. O'Toole, yes.
Did he make the right decision to expel the senator?
Yes.
Why?
Because I support it.
Section 12 of our party's constitution is clear about how petitions are to be initiated. And so we can't abide by members who aren't following the law. And that's the reason why, one of the reasons why the decision was taken, which I fully support.
I think all MPs should be focused on the needs of Canadians, period.
Do you think this puts an end to this call for leadership now that Ms. Batters is out of the Conservative caucus?
I sure hope so. It's time to get back to work.
Of course, this comes on the heels of his selection of opposition critics. That list notably absent from it. MPs we know that have been speaking out, seen as offside against the vaccine policy of Mr. O'Toole and his party. And we also know there are other people in this caucus who have had concerns like Denise Batters expressed leading up to her petition about policy migration, whether he was changing long-established positions of this party on things like carbon taxes, firearms, their feelings about conscience rights, issues very important to social conservatives, without proper consultation or any kind of an endorsement of the party's grassroots. Nevertheless, the message pretty clear here. Denise Batters, though, not backing down. As of last night, the petition she started calling for an early leadership review at over 2,700 signatures and counting. Presumably, still trying to rally more support today. She put out a statement today. I'll just read from it in part, really questioning whether this means that criticism is no longer tolerated in this party. She says, I am and will always be a conservative. She says it's ironic that Aaron O'Toole is expelling me from our national caucus for asking him to adhere to the principles and policies our party members have approved. And then at the end of her message, she says, if Mr. O'Toole is certain that the members of our party support the new direction in which he's taking our party, he should have nothing to fear by facing our members democratically in an expedited confidence vote, which is what her petition was calling for. And he said that he is fighting against this with threats and intimidation to caucus speaks volumes.
So MPs then, as you say, they've been warned. What about other Conservative senators, Janice, who might share Batters' concerns?
Yeah, and indeed, this is another kind of space to watch here. Of course, that Conservative Senate caucus has been shrinking, and interestingly, there are now no Conservative senators from either Saskatchewan or Alberta left. Did meet last night, though, and there is one MP in it who has also publicly criticized O'Toole, suggested an early leadership review should be considered. Michael McDonald from Nova Scotia. Mr. O'Toole has not removed him the way he removed Denise Batters. That is something she said today in her statement reflects a double standard. So we will have to watch not only what other MPs who disagree with him might do in the coming days, but senators as well.
I know you're on it. Thank you, Janice. CBC's Janice McGregor in Ottawa.